Hey, you with your petrol car. Are you fed up paying £60 for a tank full of fuel or more? Hey, you with your EVs. Are you disgusted with having to pay 85 pence per kilowatt hour for public rapid charging? Well, try something new. Try totally free EV charging. Yes, charge your EV absolutely, totally free. I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. So is this true? Okay, let's have a look at fueling, because all the anti-EV brigade are so keen to tell us about queuing at chargers. What they forget is that people will queue for petrol. I've quoted before, Leicester has got a Costco petrol station, and they have regular queues there because they're offering, well, it's not free electricity, not free petrol. It's actually 6p off a litre. 6p? And they're queuing up for that. There are other times when I used to have petrol or diesel cars, and I would queue up, maybe just 2 or 3 cars, and it didn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes, but you do queue up. But it's a fact that people will queue up if the price of the petrol that they're selling is cheap. Now, when it comes to EVs, I'm absolutely amazed because free EV charging has actually been around forever. In the early days when I first got my EV, then the supermarkets were offering totally free charging. It was only 7 kilowatts, but it was totally free. So while you're shopping, you just get a top up. And that was great. And all the supermarkets followed suit. And at one time, you could just go to any supermarket and charge for free. And my local supermarket, which is Tesco's, they actually had no restriction on the car park at all. That's now changed. It's now changed to 3 hours. But at the time, it was nothing. And they had 4 public chargers in their car park, Pod Point 1, 7 kilowatts, and they were available. And of course, there's a lot of people driving around in EVs, but these were often half empty. But regularly overnight, the same cars would appear, and they would just top up overnight. They'd park there. I assume they would live close and walk home, and then they'd walk down in the morning, pick the car up, and it's absolutely full, absolutely free. And I know there's one viewer of mine up in Scotland said they've been driving an EV around for free for years now. But that's a slow charger. And so it's with the restrictions in the car park now down to 2 or 3 hours, that's actually not as attractive. And in the meantime, they've also stopped the free charging. It was used originally as a marketing gimmick to get people into the stores. Once everyone started doing it, it no longer worked, so they've stopped it and they now charge. Still cheap. It's in the 40p range, but you've got a restriction on 2 or 3 hours. But if we get away from supermarkets, what about hotels? I do travel, I do stay in hotels quite often, and most hotels now have some form of charging available. Many of them offer it free of charge. I regularly go down to meet family in Swansea, and there's a hotel in the centre of Swansea, a big chain hotel, and that has absolutely free EV charging. So that, because it's the same price as all the other hotels nearby, is a target for me. That's where I will go and stay, because I drive down there, I can get down there on the single charge, I arrive with the battery pretty low, I can plug it in, book into the hotel, go and have a meal, meet the family, and the car's full in the morning. So that's bonus. Those are still available. Have a look in your local map, things like the Tesla map, the Zap map or WhatsApp. These all advertise free charging in hotels, restaurants and other places. Most of them have a filter you can set, I want free charging, and they will list only the ones that are free of charge. So besides hotels, there are many restaurants. One of my favourite restaurants locally does offer, they have an 11 kilowatt charger, and it's totally free of charge to diners, to people who are there. And that means in a typical charging session at 11 kilowatts, I get about 35 miles per hour that I'm plugged in. That means if I go for a meal with a group of friends and we sit in there, we have a drink before, alcohol free obviously, drinks afterwards and stay around for a chat, we can easily be 2 or 3 hours in there, and I can get a 100-mile range added totally free. That's absolutely brilliant. Now also, there's car parks. For example, in Chorley, there's a town centre car park. The car park is something like free for the first hour, and then it's £2 or £3 for the next 2 hours. So you can stay there maximum of 3 hours, that's the limit. But the charges are totally free of charge. So for £3 or £4 car parking fee, you can get 3 or 4 hours, 2 or 3 hours of charging totally free. And again, these are 11 kilowatts, so again, you'll get 60, 80, maybe 100 miles of range added. I go away quite regularly, and holiday lets, things like Airbnb and Booking.com. These actually allow you to select a filter which only shows those which offer EV charging for the cars. And so if I'm going up to the lakes, it's a really easy trip for me. I charge up at home to about 80-85%. That's all I need. I drive up there. It's less than an hour. I'll get there with just under half a battery full. And then as soon as I get to the place, just plug it in. Now, if it's limited to overnight, which some of them are, then it'll charge up that night. So every day I go out during my stay there. I go out with a full battery every morning. And then coming back, just make sure the night before I charge up to 85-90% and it'll get me home. Absolutely brilliant. Why don't more people use these? But it's now spreading, and there's a couple of new ideas that are coming that will make a big difference. Vauxhall is one of these. Vauxhall offer totally free charging, and depending on which model you get, that can be up to 30,000 miles. Now, we do 8,000 miles on average, so 30,000 miles is between 3 and 4 years of motoring. So buy a Vauxhall. Hate the cars myself. Oh, I hate the price of them. The cars are right. Hate the price. But if you get a Vauxhall, you can drive around free for the next 3 or 4 years. Absolutely brilliant. There are others that offer that. BMW have an offer on certain models where you can get free charging for a year or 2 years. So look for those. Now, if you need a home charger, go to British Gas, for example, because not only do you get your charger there, and it's about the same price as everyone else is charging, but you'll get free charging for a whole year. All these offers are out there, and yet we just don't use them. Now, the very latest one is Octopus Energy. Now, Octopus are praised by most EV drivers because they do offer really, really good rates. But their latest scheme is an absolute blinder. They are offering totally free charging forever. There's a snag, of course, and the first snag is you have to be with Octopus Energy. Well, that's not a snag because they offer some very cheap rates anyhow, typically about 7.5p overnight for charging, and that's great for most people. But they're now introducing an offer which is, if you have an vehicle to grid charging system, this means your car, when it's plugged in, can take electricity from the grid to charge the battery, but also discharge it back into your house. If you have one of those, and there's not every car can do that, in fact it's quite a limited number, but a Nissan Leaf, for example, is one that can. So you get a Nissan Leaf, what you do is you plug it in. Now, what Octopus say is as long as you plug it in for a minimum of 6 hours a day, you can charge it for free. So why are they doing this? Well, they make money out of you. Now, what happens is that they will trade electricity. So during the day, particularly in the summer when all the PV panels are working and the wind turbines are turning away merrily and we're not using very much electricity, the wholesale price of electricity drops dramatically and it often goes negative. In other words, they pay you to take electricity from a wind farm. What Octopus will do is they will charge up your Nissan Leaf battery or whatever other make you have and store it in the battery, and they'll get it for free or virtually nothing. Then at peak time, they'll sell it back to the grid. So they use your car as battery storage and they will trade electricity. Doing that allows them to make a profit, and in return for making a profit, they will offer you unlimited free EV charging for your car. Now, this is absolute dynamite. It's a very limited number of cars at the moment, but that is increasing rapidly. Models like Hyundai, Kia are already starting to do vehicle to grid, and most of the Chinese ones coming through now, like the Neos and BYDs, an awful lot of them have vehicle to grid already. Others will follow suit. Volvo have already said they're going to offer V2G, and so this will become commonplace. And what it means is, just as an example, if there ends up with, let's say, 10 million EVs in the UK at some point, and all of them are charged in for 6 hours a day, and all of them have got a 50 kilowatt hour battery, these will be trading electricity like crazy throughout the day, and they actually become just part of the grid. So they'll be buying it cheap and selling it dear. And that means that all of those motorists will be getting totally free charging. The world is changing out there. We didn't make use of free electricity when it was on offer when it first came out years and years ago. We really need to be looking at these special offers now because they are absolutely brilliant. Imagine getting an EV and for as long as you own that car, you never have to pay to charge it unless you go on a long trip. And then once or twice a year, you might have to bite the bullet and pay the 79 pence a kilowatt hour at a public charger once you're on holiday. But if that's all it's going to cost you, I think that's a deal and a half. Well, thanks for watching. I'm Dave. Well, thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe and click the notification bell so we can notify you next time we launch a video. And a massive thank you to all our Patreon supporters. It is your support that enables us to go out and make these videos for you. So thank you very much for your contribution. I'm Dave.